I watched the new Superman movie, and like a lot of you, I liked it. But this movie is clearly not for everybody. It is sitting at a comfortable 82% right now on Rotten Tomatoes. It has gotten a lot of backlash though, and I'm curious, so we're gonna read some bad reviews to a great movie featuring the new James Gunn Superman. All right, here's the first one. In this movie, Superman is super dumb. The dog is more decisive than him. The hero is always suffering and powerless, and there is no chemistry between him and Lois Lane. I'm impressed with the high scores. Only Luthor and Mr. Terrific have a nice performance, cooler to watch. The plot is megalomaniac. Dude, fans are so interesting. What do you want? Do you want him to be almighty and not relatable at all? Or to never suffer, to never go through a moment of struggle? Where's the fun in that? My first impression of Superman, I have a feeling I was watching Guardians of the Galaxy. Very poor, and I don't like the humor. I guess too many reboots and it just ruined the Superman character. I regret in spending my money watching this after all the TikTok hype. They should just work on the last Superman and continue from there. The reviews and sentiment seems to be overwhelming. Fans are not very into the gritty, dark DC universe anymore. Cavill and Affleck are getting old, dude, and if Warner Brothers and DC are going to build up the DC universe, you need younger talent. I think David Cornwell did a phenomenal job, and I think he will moving forward. This movie was more boring than sitting through church. Seriously, it has its moments, but free and far in between. If you don't question certain choices made for the second and third acts, then God bless you, because this movie was made for the less discerning moviegoer. Your kids will love it. First of all, I'll be praying for you. Second of all, did you have fun? Clearly not. Worst Superman movie ever. Definitely not the Man of Steel we all grew up with. They should lock up the director for attempted murder of America's greatest superhero. James Gunn, we have a warrant for your arrest. Did you deliberately try to unalive America's hero? Is it Captain America? No, the one with the undies outside of his pants. That's America. Disappointing. I loved Superman since I was 4, but what was this? Superman just yells at Lois and Krypto several times, which is such out of character for him, and acts more like Star-Lord than Superman. The actors are solid, but they have to work with such bad script. The CGI is most of the time alright, not beautiful, but good enough. The worst thing from this film is by far the story, which was boring and generic and couldn't remember 90% of the movie after I left the cinema. I disagree with the CGI. I thought it was solid. It had me question a bunch of times on how they even accomplished that. Some of the flying scenes, some of the fighting scenes. I also believe that Superman and Clark Kent has historically, especially in movies, had very little dialogue. So this movie actually added a little bit more character development for him versus the audience just kind of assuming that we already know who the character is, what his motives are, his intentions, what his thoughts are, his passions, what he struggles with. So I like that. Also, right after you left the cinema, you couldn't remember 90% of the movie. You might want to get checked out for that. I miss Man of Steel. This movie repeatedly made me think I miss Man of Steel and I miss Henry Cavill. Corn Sweat is solid, but he doesn't come close to Cavill's portrayal. Two things can be different and both be good in their own way. I wasn't expecting this to be like Man of Steel, but it's hard not to compare. Okay, every single action scene in Man of Steel is better than every single action scene in this movie. Okay, you can throw in every Superman sequence for Batman v Superman and Justice League director's cuts. They are all better. Okay, you're contradicting yourself a little bit here. I like the action scenes in Man of Steel a little bit too, but it's because I was into the seriousness and the style of that movie, especially back then. Now things are changing a little bit. I'm starting to warm towards it, but back then I was very into, again, that sort of like gritty, dark style for a lot of superhero movies, especially DC. This movie is completely different. It's closer to the 70s and 80s Superman. It's more campy. Millions of people didn't perish in the clash between Superman and the villain. So this is not an apples to apples comparison, sir. This is more of a apples to kiwi comparison, I think. Super meh, super cringe. I just left the movie theater. I barely managed to stay there for 2 hours because this movie was the cringiest, corniest, childish superhero movie I've ever seen. I don't know what Gunn tried to do with this, if he directed this movie for kids under 13 years old. You all know 90% of Marvel movies have this a joke every 5 minutes formula, but this seems to have every 3-minute jokes. Not even one single comedic scene have landed as it should. Man, these reviews and the grammar is crazy. But which is it though? Should it be a joke every 3 minutes or 5 minutes? Maybe it's 2 minutes. Maybe it's 7, dude. It's not about a formula, dude. It's about telling a great story, man. Was it a perfect story? No. But was it also written for kids to enjoy? It's PG-13, so yes, a 13-year-old would also enjoy it. They told us this from the beginning, dude. And of course, they want to sell toys. They want to sell merch. Like, how do you think these movies make this amount of money? How do you think this franchise, how do you think this IP became so big? It's because of these things. And telling a story that would also be tailored for younger audiences only helps with them being able to turn this into a business. I disagree with one single comedic scene not landing though. The scene where Lewis is sort of like trying to fly the ship and Crypto the dog keeps trying to get on her lap. That's hilarious, dude. That's so real. That's how my dog would act all the time. I mean, come on, dude. That was real. Diabolically bad. Very well could be one of the worst movies I've ever seen. You thought Wonder Woman 1984 was horrible? Please set your bar lower. Diabolical, dude? This person and the church reviewer should talk. A bar lower than Wonder Woman 1984? I'm not one to trash talk, dude, but come on, man. Come on. One of the worst superheroes movie that I've seen recently. Dude, can we use Grammarly, please? Grammarly. Help these people out. Worst seems a little rough. One of the last superhero movies that we got recently was Thunderbolts. And yes, Superman was technically not as highly rated, but 4 points in Rotten Tomatoes, 4 points difference. The margin is not bad, dude. That's it. And you know what? Whether you liked this movie or not, I hope that we are in a place where we are able to now move forward in the DCEU into something more exciting for the future. I believe the next movie that's coming out in the Superman universe is Supergirl. I personally can't wait to see it. It is a different take. It is going to be a different director. It is based on a story that is very interesting for Wonder Woman. So I'm curious to see. I hope you enjoyed this movie. I hope you had a lot of fun. Watch it in theaters. And I guess we'll see if the reviews keep climbing or declining. Time will tell.